Chapter 26, entitled Rain. That's it, said Alf. We're out of here, he demanded, and he rushed away without a goodbye. An apricot bobbed along in the bag, feeling a little disappointed, but happy. Alf is a bad man, he thought, but he took some comfort knowing that the giraffe had eaten his crusty hat, to the enjoyment of everyone. Alf's mood darkened with the clouds, and it wasn't long before heavy rain began to fall. Apricot was glad to be inside the bag, and he nestled down as the rain battered down onto them. It was like a monsoon. Bloody hell, said Alf. He was losing his short temper again. Typical now I've lost my hat, he said angrily. Not lost, eaten, thought Apricot, as they hurried through the busy, bustling streets. The rain fell harder, and most of it seemed to fall on Alf's thinning hair. He was furious as he stomped his way home, and wary passengers stepped cautiously out of his way, as he stepped in puddle after puddle. Eventually they got on the bus, but this didn't seem to calm Alf down. He sat stony-faced as the rain soaked his clothes. It was as if the weather had a vendetta against him. And then he finally spoke. That's the last time that we are going to that bloody zoo, he said. And then he sneezed very loudly, and he continued sneezing all the way home. Wipe your feet, said Mary as he stamped about the house like an angry bear. Stop nagging, woman, said Alf, losing his temper and quickly showing his new character. Don't shout at me, said Mary as she ran after him, as he dropped and sneezed all over her once lovely rugs. He leaned on the highly polished sideboard and he tried to regain his composure and his temper. Apricot watched transfixed as they argued back and forth. It was like a tennis match, he thought. And then Apricot watched worriedly as the expensive blue vase wobbled from side to side. It was as if it was on an ice rink. Then Alf slammed his fat fist onto the wardrobe and the vase toppled over. It rolled slowly like a bowling ball, and then it fell and shattered into tiny pieces on the floor. No, cried Mary. Alf looked shocked, but there was no way he was going to apologize. He never did. Eventually he spoke up. Not my fault, he said somewhat sheepishly. Out, cried Mary. Apricot ducked down into his bag. It was too painful to watch. Alf marched out and he picked up his belongings and he slammed the front door, making all of the pictures shake on the walls. They could hear him sneezing all the way down the street. I need a cuppa, said Mary. Eventually she calmed down and so did Apricot. It was like a big storm had passed from their lives. It's just you and me from now on, she said, and Apricot was pleased.